Hey everyone, welcome back to another Soulseeker devlog. In the last Soulseeker devlog, I said the game stopped development at the end of 2023, and the group split up. Since then, I've improved and created many games with Suspicious Jam, and even released my first title with them. So with over a year and many game jams of experience, I wanted to revisit Soulseeker and try and improve it. So let's get right into it. This update mostly focuses on one core area of the game, style. For the last year, I've primarily been a 3D artist and animator. In putting that to the test, I'll see how my improved skills and change in style reflect in a game I last worked on 15 months prior. I started by creating a cel shader for the characters to match a similar style to Breath of the Wild, where the characters are cel shaded but the environment uses regular lighting. I've always been a stylized 3D artist, but during my hiatus, I've only become more expressive and exaggerated with my art and animation, so the cel shader will help a lot with the new stylized look I plan to bring. Moving on to redesigns and model changes, the Little Reaper has some slight changes. I've given a temporary redesign by adding a few aspects such as some empty sleeves and a scarf to replace that weird cloth piece from the original. The texturing also uses a completely different technique, using limited colors and hard edges to create fake shadow and highlights to be more stylized and cartoony. It was a simple implementation as it shares a rig with the original so that it can reuse the ABP without much work. I still think the main character could use a bigger overhaul to deal with some design problems, but this is more than satisfactory for the meantime. Although the player only got a slight redesign keeping most of the key elements, the enemies got a drastic change in visuals. Since the Tanuki were added to the game, the skull design of the spirits fell off and out of place now. So I based the new designs off yokai like the Tanuki. The original designs were based off yokai but were awfully unclear to their inspirations, whereas the new designs take obvious and direct inspirations from the source material. The meta enemies are based off an Oni, an orc-like creature typically portrayed as horned, muscular, and often hairy creatures with blue, red, or yellow skin. The range enemy was turned into a Kappa, a turtle-like yokai creature with a bowl of water on the top of their head. If you look carefully, these two share a similar build as they actually reuse a rig and base model from a game called Mecha Mode, a game jam game Suspicious Jam had made for the Big Mode Game Jam in 2024, which is why the Oni is so skinny as opposed to cultural references. I sometimes repurpose models or rigs I or Sus Jam has made to save a lot of time and effort. However, all animations are new and they were made to look incredibly exaggerated. Both enemies now have a cartoony and almost silly feel about them, like how the Oni's look and animations are inspired by an exaggerated Yakuza. And the Kappa is made out to feel like an apathetic loser. This ultra stylized and cartoonish animations was pointed out to actually look like some of the King of Ping Pong's animations. Although some of my friends have said they liked the old Skull characters and how creepy they felt, I do plan to bring that motif back eventually with some story elements, but that's something I'm not ready to share yet. I also gave the Tanuki a small touch-up like the player. However, with the model being relatively up-to-date and competent, I've chosen to only give some updates to the texture to fit in with the new texturing style and cel shading. However, alongside the Tanuki, I've also introduced a Kitsune Merchant. This yokai is based off a kitsune, a fox-like creature with supernatural powers such as incredible lifespan and shapeshifting. Because of the shapeshifting, this merchant will sell you cosmetics for souls. The design is based off a typical kitsune, with white fur and small bits of red at the tips. But because it shares a rig with the Tanuki, I couldn't give it 9 tails. So on the tail, there's a marking for the kanji 9. You can find a Kitsune NPC at the starting town now occupying this small house. I've added a Kitsune Merchant to incentivize defeating enemies and exploring more secrets and find hidden paths to collect souls. I currently have 4 alternative costumes you can buy from the Kitsune. Red Reaper, which is just a color swap. Legacy, which is the original skin with some new texturing. Tanuki Cosplay, a Tanuki Merchant disguise. And the Souls-like skin, a parody of the Dark Souls Elite Knight armor, which also changes your dash into a roll when you wear it. In a lot of games, cosmetics and the way the player looks is normally something important to me, as I enjoy immersing in the world and playing with different alternative looks for the player. After all, looking cool makes you play better. Also many small changes including some new assets and reworked assets, a checkpoint travel menu to help getting around the map back to places visited, and some new hidden areas that are hard to find and reach. There's also now 3 save slots. That way you can speedrun the game in one playthrough, and collect all the other costumes in another without restarting your save. Overall, it's a small update that spices up the world and gameplay slightly. I recently took Soulseeker to a showcase and received a ton of great feedback that's motivated me to keep working on the project. I have many plans going forward with Soulseeker that I'm hoping to share with you when I get to implement them, but also other projects and games I have planned. So please like and subscribe to keep up with any upcoming videos. And so, as usual, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.